Southeast Asia is working to integrate renewable sources like solar and wind with new battery storage technology to stabilize power grids. However, they are facing many challenges. To help us understand this, we have Edward Zhao from Universe, Aditya Lola from Ember, and Naomi Hirose from the World Energy Council. Welcome, everyone. First, what's happening in Asia's integration of renewable energy and battery storage?
Recently, we see a booming of the battery storage booming in the region, not only in one country, but all across different countries in the region. And we believe this tendency of growing BESS will continue in the region. And this will be a new market and with some new business model for the utility industry.
China remained a leader where they've added 95 gigawatts of new solar capacity, and it is expanding its battery storage installation as well, which is projected to reach somewhere around 100 gigawatts by 2030. India is another superpower when it comes to clean power in Asia. India is also ramping up its storage capacity with recent renewable energy tenders, including storage solutions to address intermittency becoming more of a norm. In Southeast Asia, like countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, uh, and the Philippines are beginning to explore pilot battery projects to stabilize their grids. But however, uh, despite these advances, Southeast Asia still remains in its preliminary stages of transition. The region needs to still increase its energy capacity growth, and by our estimate, it could be somewhere around 3 times to even 6 times by 2035 to stay in touch with meet the climate targets. Falling costs in both renewables and battery storage are becoming a trend now, which is making integration more and more feasible, even in Southeast Asia. In certain countries in Southeast Asia, like still see higher costs, but it is becoming the norm. Uh, and the cost of lithium-ion batteries like have also fallen down by 80% since 2010. So this makes large-scale storage projects financially viable in Southeast Asia. So that's broadly speaking where we are at when it comes to different regions in Asia.
Private investors remain cautious about covering the additional cost of battery uh, storage unless they are supported by bankable, transparent power purchasing agreement or market incentives. In Japan, addressing some of these concerns, the government recently introduced an incentive package for investors in renewable energy projects paired with battery storage. In this new system, renewable energy power plants with storage batteries will receive preferential access to transmission lines. As a result, the number of renewable energy power sources with storage batteries is expected to increase in the future.
Just a follow up on that, Edward. Can you explain how battery storage technologies stabilize grids with intermittent renewables?
Yes, we see this trend of growth of BESS, particularly in the CNI, commercial and the industry part, as well as for the utilities side. And they are different in terms of impact to the grid. For example, utility scale large BESS facilities will help the grid to provide more flexibility in terms of the operation. And one example is EMA in Singapore is doing the first pilot in Jurong Island in terms of BESS to support the enhancement of the resilience and the flexibility of the grid. And on the other hand, we also see that in the CNI part, many asset owners will use BESS to integrate with solar and other renewable assets to provide orchestra of the whole macrogrid system that bring stability to the grid and also reduce the impact to the grid.
So when renewable energy generation from say solar and wind, it exceeds demand, batteries can store the excess electricity and release it when there is a bit of a shortfall in, say, for example, in the evenings. This helps maintain a consistent and reliable power supply, and it also kind of provides what is known as grid balancing services, which helps manage the voltage and frequency fluctuations that you can see when you're dealing with unpredictable variable renewable energy sources like wind and solar. For example, in countries like Australia and the US, large-scale battery storage has already prevented blackouts. That's what the data shows. And as the battery storage costs continue to fall, we expect more countries in Asia to adopt this technology, making renewable energy more reliable and integral to the grid.
We should better remind that battery storage is not an only one solution for stabilizing the grid. There are other means such as charging electric vehicles in daytimes, making hot water using electric heat pumps in the daytime, and then storing the heat for the nighttime use. Operating data center when we have a renewable power surplus. So the determining the storage battery capacity according to the maximum scale could result in overcapacity. Therefore, efforts should first be made to use up electricity generated by renewable power when generated. I believe that sufficient effort should be made on the demand side, and then the necessary capacity of the storage battery should be determined after that.
Now let's also talk about things that need to be addressed. Aditya, what are the main challenges in integrating solar and wind into existing grids?
The biggest one, of course, is the intermittency. Like in a sense, sources like wind and solar depend on weather conditions. Their output can be unpredictable and may not always match demand. So there is a need for robust grid management and development of energy storage solutions like battery or like other thermal storage solutions and things like that to smooth out the fluctuations. Another challenge is existing grid infrastructure, which in many Asian countries, especially, it is designed for a more centralized fossil fuel based generation. So to now transition to a more clean based generation, modernizing these grids is very, very essential. And this would, of course, require a lot of investments into the grid infrastructure as well. And which brings me to my the next challenge, which is investments. For investments to kind of flow into different countries, what is needed is market certainty and regulatory and policy certainty, and that is kind of lacking in most Asian countries.
I think the major challenge in integrating renewable energy sources to the power grid is that the access is not possible unless there is available capacity in transmission lines. Even if they could be connected, the utilization rate of the renewable energy sources is not very high, which would reduce the utilization rate of the transmission line and make it difficult to recover the construction and the maintenance cost of the transmission lines. It is not well known to the public, but the cost of building and maintaining the transmission line is enormous. Generally speaking, the cost of building a transmission line is said to be 100 times more expensive than the optical fiber cable construction, although that cost depends on the construction location. Therefore, it is better to build data center as close to the power source as possible and send the data to the urban area via optical fiber cable. This will reduce costs and, of course, reduce CO2 emissions. And there is also no need to worry about availability of the transmission line.
In my opinion, there were two aspects to look at the challenge. One is from the technology itself. So what we witness is to have a better integration between the BESS and for the grid, we need not only one method of technology, we need maybe multi-technology putting together. We name it, we call it 3T, that is involved the IT technology, operational technology, as well as energy technology, because it is involved in the physical part, how to make BESS better operation, but also in terms of digital tools that integrate these physical assets into the orchestration of the whole operation. On the other hand, it's also involved in the commercial challenge. That is, in the APAC region, different grade in different geographic market, they have different regulations, and how the local market regulation can speed up the BESS in the market and also provide a financial incentive to the BESS owner to participate in the trading and also the energy market is another challenge that we need to face and solve for both regulator as well as the market players in the place.
Thank you so much for your time today, Aditya, Edward, and Naomi.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
Once again, those were Edward Zhao, Global Vice President at Universe, Aditya Lola, Asia Program Director at Ember, and Naomi Hirose, Chair Impact of the World Energy Council and former CEO of Tokyo Electric Power Company. For more news, visit asian-power.com.